And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Westminster College in Fulton, Missouri, and the historic gymnasium for a game that players and coaches and fans always have circled on their calendar at the beginning of the year. It's the conference opener, the first game of SLIAC play for both the Westminster men's and women's teams, as they'll be taking on the Gorlocks of Webster tonight. The women's matchup is on first, and we're meeting the starters here at the historic gym for the visiting Gorlocks. Let's get you set on who they are. At the guard spot, it'll be the senior Kelsey Miller and the sophomore Jay Sawyer. Megan Brandt will be in at the wing, another senior, Sullivan, Missouri native for Webster. And at the forward spot, Allie Lucas, the senior, who's listed at 5'1", but plays beyond those means. And Taylor Lucas, another senior from Sullivan, Missouri, is in there at power forward as well. And now for the home side, who are getting their ovation from the crowd here at historic gymnasium. No big surprises in this lineup either. McKaylin Callahan and Kelsey Ray are the two guards for the Blue Jays. Kendall Adams, who's coming off a monster tournament last week statistically for the Jays, is in at small forward. And the forwards are Grace Archambault and Miracle Johnson for the Westminster Blue Jays. Blue Jays come into this game right at 500 overall. As I mentioned, this is the first conference game for them. For Webster, this is just their fourth game all year. They're 2-1 overall, trying to start off SLIAC play on a high note as the starters take the floor for Westminster and Webster. Of course, the Blue Jays led by James Arnold. In his first season with the Jays, was an assistant at Southeast Missouri for 2 years, and before that, the head coach at Central Methodist University. And he said, as he gives his team a pep talk right here on the sideline, how important it was for Westminster to try and outwork Webster in every phase of a game. This is a team in the Gorlocks that likes to press, they like to run, they like to get points off of turnovers. And for James Arnold's team, the thing that's been emphasized in practice all week leading up to this game is to make sure that they prevent those points off of turnovers and that they are powerful and they get in the paint and get to the foul line early and often in this game. And I asked James Arnold what it would mean if this game got ugly, if there were a lot of fouls, and he said that it would play right into their hands and into their game plan. So we are just about ready for basketball. Westminster in their home whites with the blue trim and the blue numbers, and Webster wearing the black uniforms today with black numerals. And up goes the opening tip. It's controlled by the Jays, and we are underway with Michaela Callahan bringing it up for Westminster. Gets it into the hands of Adams, who pulls up a three and hits it. How do you like that? Kendall Adams, the redshirt junior, the Umsel transfer, hits a three-pointer to start the game. It's 3-0 in favor of the Jays early on, but here come the Gorlocks, and Taylor Lucas puts it off the glass and in. It is 3-2, and that's the kind of game we might wind up seeing tonight. Webster likes to push the pace up, and they do it there, getting a quick bucket in response to the Adams three. Now Ray running the point for junior from Dixon, Missouri. Swings it to the top of the key, and Archambault, somebody who James Arnold says he's been really impressed with so far this season for the Jays. They swing it over to Callahan, and her pass is intercepted, trying to find Archambault. Nice vision there from Allie Lucas to step into the passing lane. She takes it to the top of the key, and Webster will reset things with Jade Sawyer. The sophomore from Republic, Missouri, will be running the point for them today. Trying to penetrate the perimeter for the Blue Jays, who are out in a man-to-man defense. They get it inside to Taylor Lucas once again up against Archambault. Lucas goes up strong, but it's too strong with the finish, and it's out of bounds last touch by the Blue Jays. Looked like that caught a piece of McKaylin Callahan, so it's going to be Webster basketball. 8:57 left, first quarter. Of course, 4 quarters in NCAA women's basketball, 10 minutes each, and it's 3-2 in favor of the Jays. Here in the SLIAC opener at the historic gym, trying to find an inbound play is Brandt. She gets it to Allie Lucas. Allie Lucas tries to put it off the glass and can't get it. Rebound pulled down by Adams. Adams looking to push it for Westminster. Takes it across the timeline. Still moving. Falls to her. Loses her footing there and loses the basketball. So a forced turnover for Webster. And now here they come on the other end with Kelsey Miller, who lays it in and gives the Gorlocks their first lead of the game. It's now 4-3 as the senior from Elizabeth, Indiana, strikes for Webster. And that's the sort of thing that James Arnold said he really was looking to avoid, those things that he called, a lot of other coaches call, pick six turnovers. You turn it over on one end, and the other team is able to take it back and get an easy bucket. That's something that he said they're not going to be able to prevent all of those from coming in. This is a team that thrives off of points off turnovers. Does Webster, but Westminster was going to have to limit it as best they can. One of the keys that James Arnold identified before this game. As a stoppage in play, and they get it back in play as Peyton Beeler has checked in for Westminster. Beeler, the senior from Marshall, Missouri, number 15 in white, is in the game. As Kelsey Ray works the point now to Adams at the top of the key. Adams driving right hand. A couple of defenders on her, but she heads right into the lane. Offensive board by Johnson, and she can't get it to go. A scramble for it in the paint, and Johnson is able to come out with it. A lot of contact there, but no foul called. Going the other way is Sawyer. She goes up in the air, can't get the layup to go. Rebound by the Blue Jays, and they will try to push it again. Outlet pass to Adams. Nice job to one-hand it and keep it in play. She goes up, gets the basket, and the foul. A terrific play from Kendall Adams. A kind of a wild outlet pass, but able to reel it in and get the bucket and a chance for a three-point play. Adams at the line for the Blue Jays, an 87% foul shooter this year, and gets the first one to go with a friendly bounce. So the score is 6-4 Blue Jays, 8 minutes left in the first quarter of play here in Fulton. Webster moving it around the perimeter now as they send it in. Taylor Lucas goes up with the right hand and gets it to go. Nice job by Lucas up against Archambault, and we're even at 6. And a double team in the corner, and it's stolen away from Ray, and they're going to call a tie-up, and the possession arrow favors the Gorlocks. Interesting call there on the tie-up. It looked like there was a bit of bobbling going on there with the basketball, but they save it. It's a jump ball situation. So Webster, in essence, gets a turnover there. And they will send it out to Allie Lucas. They have a fresh shot clock to work with as well. Lucas backing down MJ Johnson. Can't get it to go off the glass. Rebound Archambault. And the Blue Jays will do their best to bring it up floor. The Gorlocks like to press whenever they can. It's one of the things that they identify as a team. And a foul is called way back in the backcourt on Webster. Looks like this is going to go against Megan Brandt. Called with that foul way beyond the midcourt line, and if you're trying to beat a press, that's one way to do it, just to try and draw fouls. And Westminster will be able to inbound the ball to Ray. Ray guarded by Sawyer, 24 on 24. 7:20 left first quarter, tied at 6. They get it to Adams for a corner three. No good on the bounce, and a rebound pulled down by Kelsey Miller for Webster. And Miller trying to go coast to coast, going all the way, and she's met with defense. Good job by Westminster getting back. And now a three-point try from Miller. It got deflected, and it's picked up by the Blue Jays and Adams. And Adams will do her best to break the pressure. Swinging it over to Ray. Ray's got to get this across the timeline, and she does. Nice shot to split a pair of defenders way back there in the backcourt. And so Westminster with the shot clock at 15 will get their set ready. Beeler drives baseline and lays it in for 2. Excellent play from Peyton Beeler, the Marshall, Missouri native, now 7 for 30 from the field this year. And a foul is going to be called on the other end on Westminster going up. They're going to get Adams for that. It's going to be 2 free throws coming up for the Gorlocks, and that's what Webster can do in the blink of an eye. They can send it to the opposite end of the floor. So it's going to be Sawyer on the line, hits the first. This is Kelsey Miller, who remains perfect at the free throw line this year. Came in 7 for 7, so now she's 8 for 8. As Johnson will take a seat for Westminster, replaced by Janae Williams, who will get the rebound off the missed free throw. The first free throw miss for Miller all year, and they get an outlet pass to Beeler, who's all alone. An easy lay-in for Beeler. Nobody covering her in that far portion of the court. And it's now 10-7 in favor of Westminster. Now an outlet pass from Webster, turned away by Archambault. And that gets the Blue Jay bench on its feet. It will stay on this end. It's going to be Webster ball. But the score remains Westminster 10, Webster 7. 6.5 minutes to go in the first quarter of play. And a stoppage in play. A foul is called. They will inbound the ball, will the Blue Jays. Adams gets it to Ray. Ray brings it up floor, is able to break the pressure this time pretty easily for Westminster. Ray gets it to Archambault at the top of the key. And now to Adams. Over to Beeler, who's had a good game so far. Now they swing it inside to Williams. Williams goes in strong and lays it in. The junior from Jacksonville, Florida, gets on the score sheet. She doesn't have a ton of minutes this year, but James Arnold praised her ability to be active when she is able to get on the floor, averaging a point every 2 or so minutes this year. And on the other end, Webster with some nice passing to find Ali Lucas for 2. Ali Lucas is able to lay it in, and a timeout is called by the Gorlocks with 5 minutes, 56 seconds remaining in the first quarter, and Westminster ahead by a score of 12-9. So a frenetic sort of game so far here, maybe in line with what we expected from this basketball game. We'll be back after this. You're listening and watching to Westminster College basketball on the Blue Jay Sports Network. All right, welcome back to Historic Gym. Just under 6 minutes left first quarter. Hometown Jay is up by 3 and ready to inbound the ball. Beeler gets it into Adams, who's joined on the floor by Ray, Callahan, and Williams. Callahan checking in after she started the game, checking back into the game as she gets the ball now at the wing and sets it up for Beeler. Now back in the hands of Callahan. Little two-woman game. She drives right hand, now gets it to Williams, and that sets up an open 3 try for Adams. Just a bit too short. Nice job by Ali Lucas to come in and claim the rebound for Webster. 5.5 minutes left as Lucas brings it up floor. Up against Williams, tries to go all the way and draws the foul. That'll be the first on Janae Williams. And it's going to be a pair of free throw shots coming up for Ali Lucas. Lucas 8 out of 12 this year from the line. Lucas already with a couple of points today, trying to double her total. As I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, as the first free throw is up and rattles out, she's a forward player on the roster, but she's kind of a hybrid in the way that she plays, has the skills of a guard. As Archambault will check back in for Webster, and Natalie Busher will see her first minutes for Webster, as Archambault's in for the Jays. Lucas's second free throw is all net, so it's a 2-point game. It's Webster 12, it's going to be Blue Jays 12 and Webster 10. 5:24 and counting remaining first quarter of play. And a quick foul away from the ball. That's going to go against Ebony Bailey, the senior from Dalton, Illinois, who just checked into the game. That's her first for the John Wood Community College transfer. So the Blue Jays will inbound. That's the third team foul of the quarter for Webster, so just one more to give before we see Blue Jay free throws the rest of the period. Ray trying to penetrate. Nice entry pass in there to Williams, who decides to take a short jumper and hits it. Nice little adjustment there by Williams. A little stop and pop doubles the Blue Jay lead. It's now 14-10. Inside of 5 minutes left in the first quarter. Kylie Shute with the ball in her hands now for Webster as she's checked into the ball game, joined by Ali Lucas, J.C. Morgan, Natalie Busher, and Ebony Bailey. It is Busher who drives and took steps. So a Webster turnover will send it the opposite way. Westminster doing a good job so far being able to force their first turnover of the game there. Turnover margin, something to keep in mind in a game, especially with one team in Webster that likes to press so much. We've already seen 4 Blue Jay turnovers today. And so Westminster is able to break the press and avoid the trap once they get across half court. They swing it over to Archambault on the block, and now it makes its way back out to the point guard Ray with 13 to shoot. Ray calling for a screen, trying to make a pick and roll happen, now kicks it back out. 3-point try from Callahan is too strong, and the rebound is pulled down by Shute. Webster looking to push it, looking to keep this an up and down game. Shute driving into the lane, goes up against Callahan, and Callahan deflects the shot, but Lucas is able to control. Now she sets up Bailey, and Bailey with a nice move, but can't get the layup, and a rebound is pulled down by Miracle Johnson. A strong play for her to pull it down for Westminster, and the Blue Jays will try and move quickly the opposite way. An open chance for Beeler. Nice closeout by Morgan, and another opportunity for an open shot is missed by the Blue Jays. Heads out of bounds, and Webster will get the basketball back. Kelsey Merrick is checking in for Westminster as Archambault will take a seat. Seeing a lot of substitutions early on in this game, which makes sense given how early it is in the season, but also the sort of game that we're playing, especially early in the year where players are still trying to get into game shape. An up and down game like this, you want to be pretty liberal with your substitutions, and both of these teams are pretty deep. 3.5 minutes left first quarter. Driving left side is Kylie Shooten. She lays it in. Cuts the Blue Jay lead to 2. It's now 14-12 Westminster. And moving the other way are the Blue Jays. Going all the way to the rim. A layup can't go. And a rebound by Johnson. She goes up and is fouled. Didn't look like Webster head coach Jordan Olafson was happy with the call. But Johnson is going to get a pair of free throws. The foul is going to go against Allie Lucas. That's number 1 on her and number 4 on the Gorlocks in this quarter. So we'll see free throws the rest of the quarter for Westminster, as the first foul shot is good from Johnson. Johnson played a lot of minutes last year for the Blue Jays, more out of necessity than anything, but now has a little bit more help in the post and has been able to be a little bit more fresher in games as she hits the second with some help from the iron. Makes it 16-12. Westminster leading with 3:15 to go first quarter. J.C. Morgan with the ball in her hands for Webster. Swings it over to Shoot. Shoot inside to Taylor Lucas. Lucas stops at the foul line, gets it to Bailey. Bailey driving left hand. She took steps as she went up to try and get a layup in, looking like she was trying to go for perhaps a little Euro step move there, but took one too many steps and the officiating crew caught it. So another Webster turnover, and the Jays will have it, with Aragon ready to inbound the ball. Webster, nice job to get into the lanes of the outlet pass. And the Blue Jays will be able to reset their offense, but it takes 10 seconds off the shot clock. 20 seconds to shoot for the Jays. Taylor Howard has it. Running the point right now for James Arnold's team. Swings it over to Callahan. Callahan does her best to drive. Now sets it up for Beeler, who shoots a 3. Too strong. Rebound by Miller. And Miller will push it up floor for the Gorlocks. Miller finds Bailey. Bailey driving inside, and this time she gets the shot off, but can't get it to go. Heads out of bounds, and last touch by Webster. Looked like Natalie Busher was the last one to get a hand on that before it landed out of play. 2 minutes, 20 seconds remaining, first quarter. Webster trailing Westminster by a score of 16-12. As Megan Brandt re-enters the game for the Gorlocks, and Archambault gets back into the game for Westminster. And she replaces Kelsey Merrick, who gets a couple of high fives from her coach. And the assistants on the Blue Jay bench. Howard once again, the person bringing the ball up the floor. Swings it to Adams, who's back in the game for the Jays. And Adams will reset, 20 to shoot. That's one of the things that the press does. It forces you to be urgent even after you break it, because you waste so much shot clock getting the ball up the floor. You need a poised team to try and run a good offense against it. And right there, a nice play on a telegraph pass as Lucas gets into the passing lanes. And now the Gorlocks will bring it up floor with Miller. Miller sets up Bailey. Bailey driving left hand. Now kicks it back out. 20 to shoot. Driving right hand is Miller. Gets it up and in. Excellent play from Kelsey Miller. She had 8 points and 8 boards, and the team's lost to Augustana on Sunday as Adams drives it for Westminster, and a little baseline jump shot from Archambault goes, and the Blue Jays are able to respond. It's 18-14 Jays, 90 seconds left first quarter. Webster takes it the other way, but Johnson is able to pull down the rebound. Just a little bit too strong was Miller on that attempt. This has been an entertaining game. Up and down play. Here goes Adams, coast to coast, gets the roll. What a play from Kendall Adams, who is a do-it-all type of player for the Blue Jays. And a timeout is called, but it doesn't look like it was called by any one of the benches, as the officiating crew is going to get together. Yeah, or one of our officials saying, it's me, it's not one of the benches calling a timeout. The score is 20-14. Westminster leads the Gorlocks. 1:15 remaining in the first quarter as the Westminster fans begin to get involved. As I mentioned, the Blue Jays coming in at 3-3. Last weekend they went to the Pat Deacon Classic in Lexington, Kentucky. Part of a tough non-conference schedule for James Arnold's team. They got an ugly win against Maryville, 55-50, and then lost to the whole school, Transylvania, 61-54. And James Arnold said he was really pleased with what he saw from his team over the course of that tournament, playing against some excellent teams at the Division III level and in a difficult environment to play in at that tournament, especially when they were playing the host team in that championship game, and held their own, certainly. So play back underway, closing in on the last minute of the first quarter. They get it to Allie Lucas. Allie Lucas goes up strong, and the rebound is pulled down by Adams. Adams loses the handle for a second, has to pick up her dribble, but a nice shot by Archambault to be Johnny on the spot and get it back to her. And Adams is able to bring it across the timeline, but Lucas gets her hand on it. A scramble for the loose ball on the floor. It's picked up by the Gorlocks. A steal for Lucas, and Webster will bring it across. 45 seconds left in the first quarter. It's 20-14 Blue Jays. Allie Lucas feeds it inside into the hands of Taylor Lucas, who goes up and is fouled. 2 free throws coming. There's 33.6 left, just a 4-second differential between the game and shot clock at the moment. Lucas up to the line. This will just be the 3rd free throw for Lucas this year. 1 for 2 so far. And it's good. High arcing free throw attempt. Goes down for Lucas. Lucas, a senior from Sullivan, Missouri, all SLIAC 3rd team last season, and hits the 2nd free throw. So 20-16 our score, and a steal from Webster, and a whistle, and she stepped on the baseline. Still an excellent play to get involved, but stepped on the baseline after grabbing the inbounds pass there did Jade Sawyer. Another instance of active hands, this time on Ray, and Ray will just muscle it up the floor for the Blue Jays. 3-second difference between game and shot, and they get it into Archambault, who lays it in for 2. So 22-16 the score for the Blue Jays, and Adams with a steal. Terrific vision for her to come in and steal the basketball away. She goes to the other end. A pull-up jump shot is good. Out of the hands of Taylor Howard. A 4-point swing for the Jays. Inside of 10 seconds left, first quarter. They swing it over to Taylor Lucas. She pulls up a jump shot, no good. Rebounded by Sawyer. She gets a 3-pointer off. It won't go, and that's how the first quarter will come to a close. And James Arnold is clapping his hands and high-fiving his team. 4 big points for the Blue Jays at the end of that first quarter, and they have a 24-16 lead with 3/4 of this game still to come in the SLIAC opener for both of these teams. We'll be back after this. This is Westminster College basketball on the Blue Jay Sports Network. Okay, welcome back to the historic gym in Fulton, Missouri. Westminster College women's basketball getting ready to start the second quarter of play, and as you can see, it's 24-16 with the Blue Jays on top early on. It's been a nice performance for the Jays, been able to kind of match the frenetic pace that Webster likes to put on the floor. Speaking of on the floor, we'll tell you who's on for either side. Webster has their starting 5. Both Lucases, Miller, Sawyer, and Brandt. And for the Blue Jays, a couple of reserves. Williams is in at the 5 spot. Taylor Howard is in at point guard. And they are joined by Kelsey Ray, Grace Archambault, and Kendall Adams. All 3 of those players in James Arnold's starting lineup at the beginning of this game. So far, points off of turnovers, which was highlighted by James Arnold as a key stat for Westminster to focus on. They are winning it, but just 6 points off of turnovers for Westminster. Blue Jays have a couple. They came right before the end of that first quarter after a nice steal from Adams, and they are able to inbound it for the moment, but Allie Lucas steals it away. So a Blue Jay turnover there, number 7 for them early on in this game. Webster has done a good job making some noise with their pressure. So now it's in the hands of Miller. They get it inside. Nice entry pass to Allie Lucas, and she gets it to go off the glass. So it's 24-18. Pushing it up floor is Howard for Westminster. And she'll do her best to try and shake off the Webster pressure. They swing it to Adams on the right wing. Adams decides to drive it, then shoots the jumper and can't get it. They fight for the rebound. This will probably be a tie-up, and it is. The possession arrow favors the Jays. Or, excuse me, it favors Webster. That's right, it switched at the end of the quarter. So it's going to be Webster that gets it. My apologies. And Webster will bring it up floor. 24-18 the score. Blue Jays on top. They get it inside to Taylor Lucas, and Lucas lays it in. Nice play by Lucas, who thanks her sister Allie for a nice setup. Nice connection from them so far in this game. 9 minutes to play second quarter. 24-20, the lead has been cut to, and the kick ball will stop play with 21 to shoot for the Jays. A couple of substitutes getting ready to check in as Callahan and Johnson will now take the floor for the Jays, as Howard and Williams will leave. So now the starting five is on the floor for Westminster here. And they'll get it to Kelsey Ray. Ray staring down the man-to-man. 14 to shoot now. As Ray will dish it to Archambault. Now to the top of the key, and Adams, who has been looking to drive for much of this game. They get a nice passing to get it inside to Archambault. Terrific feed there from Kelsey Ray. Good vision from her to make that entry pass. Archambault puts it in, 26-20 Jays. And Webster quickly brings it back the other way. Archambault now has 6. That's second on the team, only to Adams, who's got 8. Three-point try from Allie Lucas misses. And a rebound from Archambault, and a tie-up is called. The Blue Jays will keep it, but it will flip the arrow the opposite way, as Allie Lucas has done an excellent job just getting her hands in and being a nuisance when Westminster's tried to bring the basketball up floor. This time they get it to Adams, and Adams breaks the pressure, gets it to Archambault. Archambault with the baseline J, too strong. Johnson pulls down the offensive board and lays it in. A terrific second chance opportunity from MJ Johnson. 28-20. Westminster leads with 8 minutes left second quarter. Kelsey Miller swings it over to Allie Lucas, who shoots a 3 in and out. That one was halfway down, but Archambault gets the rebound, and it heads out of bounds, and it's going to be Webster ball. A miscommunication there from the Jays. And Webster will get the basketball back as J.C. Morgan checks in. Megan Brandt will take a seat. Nice shot fake to set up, and it's going to be, they're going to say that's last touch by Webster, so it's going to be Blue Jays ball. So far, not a ton of rhythm early on in this second quarter, as Ray will push it up floor for the Jays. Archambault tries to swing it to Johnson, but the pass is offline just a bit. A difficult play. Looked like Archambault was a little bit off balance when she made that play, and Archambault is going to check out of the game, as Peyton Beeler will come on to replace her. And Archambault is going to get some words from her coach on the sideline. James Arnold, when I talked to him yesterday, was full of praise for Grace Archambault. Said she has a chance to be one of the better forwards to ever play at Westminster. As an excellent job there by Taylor Lucas to get that one to go. But she's also a freshman, is Archambault, averaging a little over 2.5 turnovers per game, and a foul is called as Ray tried to push it up floor. It's been a tough day at the office for Ray facing this pressure. Seems like almost every offensive possession for the Jays, she's been just trying to muscle across the timeline. As Ebony Bailey will come in for Webster. We'll see who she'll replace. It's going to be Morgan that will take a seat. 7:17 remaining second quarter of play. Blue Jays on top 28-22. A shot to inbound it to Howard, who's checked in at the point, as Ray took a seat after taking a hard foul. Howard gets it in, and is stolen away by Bailey, and Bailey will take it all the way to the hoop and misses the lay-in. Adams tries to get the rebound, and it's poked away. It'll be Westminster ball as that one headed off the hand of Taylor Lucas and out of play. Nice shot by the Jays to get back on defense. It looked like Ebony Bailey was going to be able to get a coast-to-coast bucket, a pick-6 turnover, as James Arnold likes to say, but they were able to prevent it. So Taylor Howard muscles it up floor for the Blue Jays. Howard does her best to call out a play, but is hounded by Jade Sawyer at the top of the key and turns the ball over. Once again, it's Bailey who gets the steal. Bailey brings it up floor. This time will not push. It didn't have numbers, and they'll reset with Sawyer running the point. Sawyer swings it to Miller. Miller to Taylor Lucas. Now to Bailey. Bailey to the right side and Miller. Miller driving baseline up against Adams. 9 seconds to shoot. Driving right side is Taylor Lucas. Can't get it. Rebound by Beeler. Good possession there for Westminster. Just solid defense without fouling. Now the Jays will try and push it up floor. Callahan tried to get it up there. Now they get it to Beeler, who tries to feed Johnson, and it wound up hitting somebody's foot. 3 defenders there to try and weave through, and one of them got a foot on it as a point guard swap is made by Arnold. Howard is out. Ray is in for the Jays. 6 minutes, 13 seconds left, second quarter. 28-22 Blue Jays. And a little jump shot is well short. Might have taken a deflection there from Beeler, but an offensive rebound. They get it to Johnson, and she lays it in. A terrific job by Ray to set Johnson up. She gets another dime. 6 minutes left in the second quarter. The lead is back up to 8. Trying to get a quick bucket on the other end, but Miller was short on the play, so now Ray will try and go coast to coast. Doesn't have numbers. She'll reset, and a little no-look pass to Johnson, and Johnson is able to lay it in. I think Johnson might have been a little surprised there was nobody there. She tried to make a post move, but then was able to lay it in, and she's got a smile on her face as she heads into the huddle. She forces a timeout for Webster. 32-22. The Blue Jays are on top. 5:44 left in the second quarter of play. All in all, this has been a strong game so far for James Arnold's team. Back after this. This is Westminster Blue Jay basketball on the Blue Jay Sports Network. We welcome you back to Fulton. Score 32-22 Blue Jays, 5:44 left, second quarter. Getting you set on the key players. If you're just joining us, so far Adams and Johnson are leading the way for the Blue Jays. They've got 8 points apiece, and Taylor Lucas is leading all scorers for the Gorlocks. She has 10 so far today. The turnover margin is not favoring the Jays. They have 11 turnovers to 4 from Webster. Webster's been able to score 10 points off of those turnovers, but the half-court D from the Blue Jays has been excellent early on in this basketball game. Busher is in the game for the Gorlocks, and she'll swing it over to Miller. Now to the top of the key and Allie Lucas. And Lucas will look to drive this one into the paint up against Johnson, and Johnson is called for a foul. Hustling up against Allie Lucas. That's going to be the first on Johnson. That's team foul number 1 for Westminster in this second quarter. Been a clean second quarter for both sides. 1 foul each in this period. And Allie Lucas will shoot the free throw and hit it. Lucas, the senior from Sullivan, Missouri, averaging 15 points a game coming into this contest, as Bailey and Shute will enter the game for Webster. 1 more foul shot to go for her, and it rattles home. So 32-24. It's an 8-point advantage for the Blue Jays. This has been kind of right around where it's sat for this entire second period. Ray will push it up floor for Westminster. Nice outlet pass to set up Adams, and Adams goes up with it and can't get it to go. Rebound by Johnson, and Johnson lays it in. A terrific day for Miracle Johnson so far. Webster will try and push it ahead with Bailey, but they don't have numbers, and they'll get it to Busher at the top of the key. Johnson has 7 boards and 8 points already with 5 minutes left in the first half of play for the Blue Jays. Busher will drive left hand, cannot get the roll, a bit unlucky, and Callahan, who's checked in, pulls it down for the Blue Jays. Peyton Beeler is the one non-starter into the game for Westminster, joined by Callahan, Ray, Johnson, and Adams. And it's Ray who was fouled before she stepped on the baseline. Looked like Jordan Olafson, the Gorloks head coach, was looking for an out-of-bounds violation call, but they ruled that she was pushed out of play. So the foul will be charged. I believe that went against Bailey. Second team foul for Webster. If it is Bailey, that's her second. As Westminster loses the handle on the ball, but Adams is able to track it down. It's a 10-point lead for the Jays. 4.5 left in the second. Nice act of hands there from Bailey to try and poke it away. Now it's Beeler. 12 seconds to shoot. Into Callahan, has it poked away by Busher, but regains control. Callahan does her best to feed Johnson, who's double teamed, but still is able to get it up and in. And Johnson is into double figures. That's her 12th point with the bucket. What a day so far for her. It's a 12-point advantage for the Blue Jays. A denial on the other end from Callahan. They're able to set up Busher, and she can't get the layup, and a rebound from Johnson. Johnson now has 8 boards in this game. Might have a double-double before halftime, if she's fortunate to get a couple of more rebounds. Callahan with it for the Blue Jays. She pulls up a three-pointer. No good. Too strong. Rebounded by Ray, and Ray sends it off the shin of Allie Lucas. They'll call a kick ball and keep it on this end. A few substitutes coming in as Sawyer, Lucas, and Brandt are into the game for Webster, and Archambault will take Callahan's place for Westminster. A 12-point advantage for the home side, the Blue Jays. 36-24, 3.5 minutes left. Second quarter of play. Adams drives to the paint and gets it in. Kendall Adams lays it in for the Jays. And going the opposite way quickly is Webster. A blocking foul will be called against Johnson. That's her second. As going in strong was Jade Sawyer. They are going to call it a shooting foul, so Sawyer's going to have a pair of free throws here. Or no. They announced free throws in the gym, but it's going to be an inbound. Looked like both of the teams expected it was going to be that call, but it was not. So down 14, the Gorloks will have the basketball. Up goes Busher. She's fouled, and that is definitely going to be 2 free throws. That's going to go against Beeler, that foul. And just like that, Westminster has 3 team fouls, just 1 more to give. Busher's first free throw. Gets it to drop. Busher coming in 3 out of 4 from the line this year, so 4 out of 5 with the make. And Johnson with the 2 fouls will sit for the Blue Jays, and she'll make way for Janae Williams. And Adams will inbound it to Ray. Westminster looking to finish off this first half strong as they get it to Beeler and a couple of defenders. Another steal for Bailey, and she'll go the opposite ways. Can she turn this into points? She can. Lays it in. An excellent play from Ebony Bailey, who has been a real nuisance defensively so far in this game. Westminster is able to get it across the timeline with Ray. Ray driving baseline. Ray puts it in. Can't get it to go. Rebound Williams, and Williams is neck and neck with Bailey, and it will be a tie-up. Possession arrow is going to, I believe, send it the opposite way. Referees were pointing toward Westminster, but the arrow of the scorer's table says it's the Gorloks ball. So a bit of a disconnect here, and our officiating crew will huddle up. This is interesting. Our head official kind of, I guess he thought the arrow was off. And now they're having a conversation. And they'll go to the scorer's table saying, you got them? They do. This is important here. It's a 10-point game, 2:34 left. Westminster ahead 38-28, 2:34 left, second quarter. This is an important period of this game. If the Blue Jays are able to go out on a run, string 4 or 6 points together like they did at the end of the first quarter, it could be really tough for the Gorloks heading into half. But if the Gorloks can cut this deficit to maybe 5 points, they could say, well, with our pressure, with our ability to first turnovers, and with the point-blank shots that the Gorloks have not been able to get to drop so far in this game, they have to feel confident in the locker room at halftime. Taylor Lucas has it at the foul line. And she'll bring it back out, trying to feed Busher, and Adams gets in there, but she stepped on the baseline. So it'll stay on this end. 2:19 left. A 10-point lead for the Blue Jays, who are showing some toughness here. As I mentioned, they had a real tough non-conference schedule early on. They played 5 games where they had to grind out a win. Sometimes, obviously, in the sport of basketball, you play a non-conference game where somebody's from a different level. But for Westminster, they made sure to have a heavy non-conference schedule. And for a first-year head coach in James Arnold, that was valuable for him to learn a lot about his team. Arnold, of course, has spent time at a lot of different levels. NAIA, D1 as an assistant last couple of years. He said he was impressed by the physicality and the tough-minded play that he saw in Division III when he arrived. And Albie Lucas is unable to get a good shot up. Miscommunication as the shot clock didn't reset. It's a shot clock violation, and it's Blue Jays ball. 2 minutes left in the second quarter. Westminster trying to extend their 10-point advantage. And Adams will bring it ahead. Now gets to Ray. Ray tries to push her way past Bailey and does. Bailey the defender here. And Ray tries to get a crossover dribble, gets it set up for Adams at the top of the key and tries to drive. We've seen Adams try that a lot in this game, trying to drive as opposed to shoot. She can do both. As it heads out of bounds, and they're going to say it was last touched by the Gorloks. An excellent athletic play there from Sawyer. But she did just shove it out of bounds, getting on the floor. There's just 4 to shoot. So Westminster's going to have to try and get a quick play going here with Callahan. That's what the pressure does. The shot clock, it seems a lot shorter. It seems like we're playing an NBA game with the full court press. They set up Adams. 3-pointer is too strong. Rebound by Ray offensively. A fresh 30 for the Jays. They'll set up Adams. She has an open look, decides to drive with it. Pull-up jump shot is good. Terrific job from Adams. Adams now has 12 on the game. And on the other end, they feed it inside to Taylor Lucas, who gets it back out to the point guard, Sawyer. 1:10 to go, second quarter. Now to Allie Lucas, top of the key, wide open. She shoots the 3, can't get it to go. Rebound by Archambault, and Sawyer forces a tie-up. And the possession error will favor the Blue Jays. How many tie-ups have we seen in this basketball game? 2 teams with active hands, 2 teams trying to get out all the 50-50 balls. As Archambault will once again get a teaching moment from James Arnold on the sideline. She checks out. 1:02 left, second quarter. Adams at the outlet pass to Callahan. Has options, does Callahan, but elects to reset. Came close to shuffling her feet, but stay on her feet. 48 seconds to go. Final minute with 15 to shoot of this first half. Ray has the top of the key. 10 to shoot. Gets it to Adams. They've got to try and find an entry pass here. Williams is calling for it in the paint. 4 seconds to shoot. Ray has it, drives left hand, and turns it over. It's intercepted by Albie Lucas, and there's a 1-second differential as the Gorloks bring it up the floor. Inside of 30 seconds left, second quarter. Miller drives and is fouled. On the baseline. They are going to get Williams for the foul. And for Williams, that's her second. So both post players, Johnson and Williams, for Westminster have 2 fouls now, which could be a factor later on in this game. Meanwhile, Taylor Lucas lays it up and in. Lucas having an excellent game on the score sheet. She's got 12 in the first half. And with 15 seconds to go, the shot clock is turned off. It's a 10-point lead for the Jays. Adams will bring it in. And we'll see if they'll hold for the last shot. We'll get it over to Callahan, who drives, gets it to Ray. Ray shoots an open 3. It's off the mark, an air ball, and it's rebounded by Westminster. Great job to keep it in play, but they don't have enough time to get another shot off, and that is how the second quarter comes to an end. So our score at halftime here at Historic Gym, Westminster 40, Webster 30. This is Westminster Blue Jay basketball, and the Blue Jay Sports Network will be back with the third and fourth quarters of this game in a little bit. Welcome back to the historic gymnasium here in Fulton, Missouri for Westminster College women's basketball. Carter Waddell here with you. We're coming out of halftime, and the Blue Jays have the lead. They're ahead 42-30 in this game. We've seen plenty of end-to-end basketball in this game, kind of fitting the bill of what we thought we might see at the beginning of the game. For the Blue Jays, they've been able to get into this game with solid shooting. They're shooting 55% as a team from the floor, and that's despite shooting 1 of 9 from three-point land. So when they have gotten inside the arc, they're getting high percentage looks, something that James Arnold was really keen on heading into this game. For the Gorlocks, they're staying in this game with aggressive defense. They got 11 steals to just 1 for Westminster in that first half, and it's spread out pretty well among the Gorlock players. Allie Lucas leads the way with 4. Ebony Bailey has 3 steals off the bench, and Sawyer and Taylor Lucas have a pair of steals each for the Gorlocks. One other thing to keep in mind for the Blue Jays is their foul situation. Both Janae Williams and Miracle Johnson had 2 fouls in that first half. Those are the 2 players that Coach Arnold will count on to play on the 5 spot for Westminster. And that's an important spot for a team that's been looking to get more points in the paint in this game. And so that's something to keep your eye on. For the Blue Jays, they've got the starting 5 on the floor to begin this second half of play, and so does Webster. So no changes for either team. Lucas, Brant Miller, and Sawyer for the Gorlocks. And for the Blue Jays, it's Archambault, Johnson, Callahan, Ray, and Adams. And off we go. Third quarter of play. Webster moving left to right in their black uniforms. And Allie Lucas swings it over to the left side, and Brant, nice entry pass to Taylor Lucas, who leads all Gorlocks in scoring in that first half. And a steal will take it the opposite way. Callahan does her best to bring it across the timeline, nearly traveled, but gets it to Adams. And the Blue Jays will have their first offensive possession of the second half. They get it to Miracle Johnson. She shoots a jumper in and out. Little mid-range jump shot there from Johnson. Her first miss from the floor all game. And here come the Webster Gorlocks. As Miller will look to set things up. Now to Brant. Another good entry pass to Taylor Lucas, but Lucas was defended by Archambault well, though it does head out of bounds. It's going to be an inbound for Webster. 12 to shoot. And that's something that James Arnold is making his defense know just how long they need to be holding up in this possession. Trying to find a person inbound at 2. They get it to Taylor Lucas. Lucas goes up strong again and can't get it to go. Lucas does have 12 points to lead the Gorlocks today, but has struggled a bit in terms of efficiency. She's now 5 out of 11 from the floor, a lot of those up against the rim. And on the other end, it's Adams who rattles the layup in for the Blue Jays to make it 42-30 Westminster. Webster trying to attack quickly and get those points back, and a wild attempt is off the mark from Brant. A scramble for the rebound under the hoop, and Johnson comes away with it for the Blue Jays. Westminster doesn't have numbers, but Callahan will look to push it for a moment. Now goes baseline and tries to set up Johnson, but just too many black shirts in the area. So Webster takes his control. Another steal for the Gorlocks, and they get it to Lucas. Now to Sawyer, who drives left hand. Sawyer loses the handle. Good defense there. Archambault and Ray were on her. They force a tie-up, and the possession arrow favors the Blue Jays, so they'll get the ball back. Nice job defending without fouling there, getting their hands on the basketball as Sawyer looked to go up and possibly draw some contact, maybe go to the foul line. Westminster hasn't been to the foul line a ton in this game, 3 out of 3. That's something that I'm sure James Arnold would like to see a little bit more of from his team. But it's been clean defense from both sides as Adams jacks up a 3. It's too strong. Rebound from Ray on the offensive glass, and a fresh 30 for the Blue Jays. 8 minutes left, third quarter, 42-30 Westminster. Blue Jays trying to go above 500. They come into this game at 3-3. Just their second home game of the year. They look for Adams on the right side. That three-pointer is short, and it careens off the side of the rim and out of place, so Webster will inbound. It'll be Alvy Lucas inbound the ball. Lucas is lighting up the box score so far. 7 points for her, 4 steals, as I mentioned. Has a pair of rebounds as well, and is 3 of 4 from the foul line, but has been inefficient so far from the floor. 2 out of 9 shooting. Westminster has done a good job defending in the interior and forcing low percentage looks from the Gorlocks, and a 3-second call and a turnover. That's going to go against Taylor Lucas, who looks surprised by the whistle. But it is going to be a turnover, number 7 for the Gorlocks today. Jays with 15 turnovers against this press-happy Webster defense. Ray muscles it up floor. Swings to the top of the key, and Adams. Adams drives left hand. She goes up with it and gets it to go. Adams had Callahan open on the wing, but went in for a little floater, and the teardrop drops. It's a 14-point Blue Jay lead. Now Miller, stop and pop, hits it. Good quick response from Kelsey Miller. You can tell Webster has been trying to get those quick responses to force the Jays to get back on defense in this game. And so far, for the most part, Westminster's been up to the task in that effect. Now it's Adams. Again drives the basketball. Sets it up for Archambault. Baseline jumper too short. And Ray with a terrific offensive rebound. And through the hands of Johnson. Sawyer looking to push it here. It's a 2-on-1 as Sawyer goes up strong and will go to the line for a pair as Archambault fouls her. Archambault shrugs her shoulders there. It looked like Sawyer kind of took advantage. I think most of the players on that end thought that was going to wind up going out of bounds. And Sawyer decided there was an opportunity for a run out. She gets 2 free throws for her effort. And the first one goes. A shooter's roll there for Sawyer. A couple of opportunities to get some subs in here as Beeler checks in for the Blue Jays. And Morgan is in the game for Webster. Brandt and Callahan checking out for their respective teams. Second free throw is good, so 2 for 2 at the line is Sawyer. Cuts the deficit back down to 10. It's been right at 8 to 10 points ever since the second quarter got underway in earnest. The lead for the Blue Jays. 6:48 left in the third. Adams brings it up floor for Westminster. Gets it to Archambault. Player down for a moment for Webster. Hobbling a bit is Morgan. Adams goes up for a baseline teardrop. Offensive board by Johnson. Gives it to Archambault and ripping it away and forcing a tie-up is Ali Lucas. And head coach Jordan Olofsson of the Gorlocks is wondering why there wasn't an official timeout with the player down. A 5-on-4 possession, but play was still going, and Morgan remains in the game, though she is limping just a bit. They feed it inside to Taylor Lucas again, and again Taylor Lucas cannot connect inside, but a turnover from Archambault will give it back to the Gorlocks. Archambault looking a little bit frustrated. The freshman from Eureka, Missouri. Last Sunday against Maryville had 16 rebounds to lead the team. Excuse me, that was the Saturday game, the first game of that Thanksgiving doubleheader, the tournament that they had in Lexington for the Blue Jays. Came out with a 1-1 record. She had 6 and 8 on that Sunday game, did Archambault, and she'll check out. She and head coach James Arnold have had a dialogue this entire game. Arnold working his freshman through the game. Baseline jump shot, no good. Offensive board by Taylor Lucas. She sets up Allie, who lays it in. And that's a great play there from Allie Lucas to receive that in good vision from Taylor to get the assist. A scramble for a loose ball, and Ray comes up with it and is able to set up Johnson. Right place, right time for her. Blue Jays bring it up floor. The lead is 6 for Westminster, lead is 8 for Westminster, 44-36. 5:45 left, third quarter. They try to feed Williams inside, and it heads out of bounds. It'll stay on this end. Williams and Johnson both in the game right now for the Blue Jays. They're joined by the second-string point guard, Howard, and Ray is in there as well. So a bit of a mix-up in terms of the personnel from James Arnold. Beeler is the 5th player on the floor, and another steal for Ali Lucas. Lucas brings it up floor and is fouled hard as she goes up for it by Williams. That's number 3 on Williams. Going to be a pair of free throws for Ali Lucas, as the senior will head to the line. Lucas with 9 points in this game off of 3 of 10 shooting. As he rattles home the first foul shot, Archambault and Callahan will enter the game for the Jays. Williams with those 3 fouls will check out, as will Howard. And Lucas makes it 2 for 2 from the line. So it'll be Beeler to inbound. And it's stolen away again. They keep it in play. What a play by Miller to keep this one in play, but now it winds up on the floor again. And the Gorlocks control. They get it to Sawyer on the right wing. and they will reset. A terrific play from Kelsey Miller. Now they go left side, and a layup attempt fouled in the play was Ali Lucas. Another pair of free throws coming up for her, and if Webster is going to try and come back here, trailing by 6, 5:24 left in the third quarter. It's 44-38 Westminster. If they're going to come back, turnovers are going to be big, as Ali Lucas hits another free throw. The Gorlocks are 13 out of 15 from the foul line so far in this game. Westminster 3 out of 3. They haven't shot a free throw yet in the second half. And Lucas drains another. The deficit is down to 4, as small as it has been in quite some time. And another turnover, stolen away by Morgan. And Webster will set up their offense. Miller driving right hand. Sets it up for Taylor Lucas. Shot fake. Up against Johnson. Too strong on the layup. And it's going to be a tie-up. And that will bring it to Westminster. Good active defense from the Blue Jays, but another turnover. They are really struggling inbounding the basketball right now. And James Arnold's going to want to talk it over with the team. A timeout called by the Blue Jays. 5 minutes, 6 seconds left, third period. It's 44-40 in favor of the Blue Jays, who will be looking to inbound the basketball when we return. This is Westminster Blue Jays basketball on the Blue Jays Sports Network. Back underway, third quarter. Just about 5 minutes remaining in this third period of play, halfway through, and the Blue Jays are able to inbound it. Archambault pushes it up floor, is met with a couple defenders and resets the offense, gets it to Callahan. The Blue Jays, you think they're going to try and find their interior presence, Johnson here, try and make an entry pass. Johnson has had such an efficient game on both ends of the floor for the Blue Jays. 7 to shoot. They drive baseline and lose it. It's another steal for Webster. Bringing it up floor is Miller. And Miller swings it over, and that's a turnover for the Gorlocks. The Blue Jays will get it as that one headed over the hands of Busher. This is the sort of game, especially early on in the season. This is the 4th game of the year for Webster and the 7th for Westminster, where in a game like this, so much running, you have to go 94 feet facing pressure. When the game wears on, there's a fatigue factor for both teams as they set it over to Avery Engel, who has checked in for the Blue Jays for the first time in this game. As another steal will get it over to Webster. Inside of closing in on 4 minutes left now in this third quarter. They get it to Miller, and Miller is fouled by Engel as the freshman from Lake St. Louis picks up her first foul. And another substitution coming in from James Arnold as Howard will come in, and miscommunication, she's coming in for Ray. As Engel looked like she was ready to check out after committing the foul, but she'll stay on the floor. So Webster will get another offensive set going, trying to cut it to a 4-point Blue Jay lead. A 3-point try is too strong from Miller. That would have cut the lead to 1. And up the floor goes Howard. Howard gets all the way to the foul line. 3-point try from the Jays, too short out of the hands of Engel. And they'll go the opposite way. Here comes Sawyer. And it's going to be an offensive foul, and it'll be Blue Jay ball. Adams draws the charge for Westminster. And that's always something that'll get the bench on its feet. Adams set her feet, was just outside of that restricted arc, and drew the charge. Of course, here in the women's game, we have the smaller restricted arc, the black one on your picture. When the men's game gets underway tonight, it'll be the blue one. And it's going to be another steal for the moment, and they can't keep it in Webster hands. Blue Jays control. This has been a frantic third quarter, especially when Westminster's tried to bring the ball up floor. 3.5 to play in the third. 44-40 Blue Jays, who have been stuck on this number for some time now. They get it to Engel, who loses it for a moment, gets it back at the top of the key. Engel to Callahan. Now inside to Johnson. Johnson can't get it up as the shot clock was running down. An outlet pass to Miller. Miller with a two-step and is turned away. Deflected nicely there by Engel, and Johnson controlled it for the Jays. Now to Howard. And Howard pulls it up floor. 3 minutes to play, third quarter. This game is turning a bit ugly here as Engel loses the handle. A foul is called on the floor. It's against Howard, and it's Webster ball. That's going to go in the book as another Gorlock steal, I do believe. They've now got 19 on the game. Webster has committed 24 turnovers in total. They've forced 10. Have the Blue Jays of Westminster. 44-40 Westminster right now. The Blue Jays have been stuck on this number since the 7:36 mark of this third quarter when Kendall Adams hit that little teardrop jump shot. Now with 2:55 left in the third, it's 44-40. Part of a very slow, a very prolonged, but a still evident 10-0 run by the visitors. Bailey now running the point for Webster. Gets it over to Brandt. Top of the key in Busher. And now they try to feed Taylor Lucas, who loses it. Poked away by Johnson, and Johnson can't get it to Howard. It's out of bounds, and it's going to be Webster ball with a fresh 30. It's a nice play to get some active hands in, but just couldn't quite handle it. Could Howard, trying to set her up. Seen a lot of loose balls, a lot of 50-50 plays today. As they try to get it inside to Kylie Shoot, and she is called. No, it's going to be a tie-up. No foul on the play. Tie-up will keep it on this end with the possession arrow. .29 to Shoot as the inbound will come in from Grant. Now they swing it to Kylie Shoot. She shoots, and it's too strong. Rebound Adams. For the moment, she does control it. Nice shot for Adams. That's an important rebound for Westminster. And Adams will push it across, huffing and puffing in what's been a tough game. A three-point try is too short from Avery Engel. Webster pushes it up floor. 2:15 left, third quarter. Still 44-40 Westminster. We've been stuck at this score for some time now. They get it inside to Taylor Lucas, and she puts it off the glass and in. It's now a 12-0 run, and Lucas is hurting. She's slow to get up. Taylor Lucas down underneath the basket. Looks like a member of the athletic training staff will be heading out. 2 minutes, 2 seconds left in the third quarter. A huge bucket from Taylor Lucas to cut the deficit to 2 and make it a 12-0 run. But Lucas is still on the floor. And her head coach, Jordan Olafson, in his 10th season with the Gorlocks, is down on the floor with her. And obviously, you hope she's all right. She has been such an important performer for Webster, not just in this game, not just this year, but in her entire career. The senior from Sullivan, Missouri, and so far has put together a strong game today. Hasn't been the most efficient game for her that you're going to find in her game log, but 14 points, a trio of assists, and a pair of steals. She has been one of the go-to players for Webster, both Taylor and Allie Lucas, accounting for 27 of the Gorlocks' 42 points in this game. And she's now sitting up on the sideline talking to the athletic trainer and her head coach. Looks like she's going to be helped up to her feet. And she'll be able to head to the bench with a little bit of assistance. And hopefully she'll be all right and be able to come back into this game. So after the stoppage, An important inbound coming up gives Webster the opportunity to set their press up. Looks like Adams will be the inbounder for the Blue Jays. She's joined on the floor by Ray, Beeler, Callahan, and Archambault. They get it into Ray, and Ray will bring it in, just facing the one person of pressure in the form of Kylie Shoup. Inside of 2 minutes left, third quarter. 44-42 Blue Jays. Been a great third quarter for Webster. In the midst of a 12-0 run, Adams trying to break it, drives inside, draws contact, and is whistled for a foul there, as Adams will go to the line for a pair of free throws, but now she is hurting. And she goes down. What an unusual sequence of events here. The two of the most crucial performers on the floor for each team going down with injuries after making a play. And now here we kind of have the wrinkle of Adams is due to shoot free throws here. And so you wonder if she'll be able to go up and take those foul shots. And if not, I believe Jordan Olofsson would have his pick of the other four players on the floor for the Jays to come in and take the free throws instead. There's a minute 43 left in the third quarter, 44-42 in favor of the Blue Jays. We have not seen a ton of scoring in this game. Since the 5-minute mark of the third quarter, just one basket here with 1:43 left. That was the layup from Taylor Lucas. And Adams is going to sit on the bench, so it is going to be two free throws as Johnson will come in to shoot the free throws. As the referees are making Jordan Olofsson aware that the substitute is coming in, he nods his approval, as is needed here. So Miracle Johnson will shoot the free throws. Coming in as a 71% free throw shooter. First free throw rattles home. First points for Westminster since more than 7.5 minutes left in the third. Ends a 12-0 Gorlock run. And the second free throw drops. So the two foul shots from Johnson double the Blue Jay lead, 46-42 Westminster. And Kylie Shoup has the ball in her hands. Now gets it to Busher. They swing it over to Morgan. Second unit here for Webster. That's one of the advantages that Webster most likely has in this game, especially important in a game that's quick with 10 to shoot now as Bailey drives and lays it in. A terrific play from Ebony Bailey, who has put together some great minutes off of the bench so far, especially defensively. Now has 4 points in this game for the senior from Dalton, Illinois. And another turnover as Bailey comes up with it for the Gorlocks. And they'll get it to Busher. Busher driving, goes up and is fouled. They will count the baskets. And a ton of energy on the sideline from Jordan Olofsson. 46-44. It's a 2-point game. And Busher will go to the line to cut the lead in half. Just the one free throw coming up. Sawyer checks into the game for Bailey. Bench scoring has been key. Bench activity in general has been key for the Gorlocks. Bench points not a strength of James Arnold's team early on this year. The free throw from Busher is good. It's a 1-point game. 47-46, the Gorlocks take the lead. And Westminster will push it up floor with Peyton Beeler, who's double-teamed on the block. Beeler turns it over for a moment, recovered by Archambault. She goes up, can't lay it in, but gets her own rebound. And now Beeler with the jump shot. It's short. Rebound from Allie Lucas. What a third quarter this has been for the Gorlocks. Been playing active defense. They haven't been lighting it up offensively, but they have bottled Westminster up. And with 30 seconds left in the third, they lead by 1. But they turn it over here off the hands of Allie Lucas. 25.4 seconds left in the third quarter. So the shot clock will turn off. And the Blue Jays, if they want to, can hold for the last shot here. As our officiating crew is making sure they're trying to get the shot clock turned off, and now they have. 25 seconds left in the third. Blue Jays trying to take the lead heading into the fourth quarter. Ray trying to shake off Sawyer. The defensive play from these Webster guards has been impressive today. And a stoppage in play from our officiating crew. Maybe a clock issue? Not sure what that was. I think they might have saw the shot clocks in the gym say 30 seconds when the shot clock is turned off instead of actually turning the thing off. They say 30 seconds, and I think that is what might have confused the officiating crew, saying, oh, the shot clock isn't running. But no reason for it to run. 17 seconds left, third quarter. Jays down 1, trying to take the lead, heading into the fourth. Ray with it, 10 seconds left. Now to Archambault, gets to Adams, who drives left hand, now gets to Callahan, shoots a three, off the mark. Rebound, Archambault with 3 seconds left, and she can't get the roll on the layup, and that's the end of the third quarter. That's kind of how this third quarter went for the Westminster Blue Jays. What a quarter for the Gorlocks. They outscore Westminster 17-6. They go on a 12-0 run in the middle of the quarter, and they lead 47-46 heading into the fourth quarter of play. Don't go anywhere. We got an exciting finish on the way, it appears. This is Westminster College basketball on the Blue Jays Sports Network. We welcome you back to Fulton in the historic gymnasium, where a third quarter, an excellent one for Webster, has given them a 1-point advantage. It's 47-46. Gorlocks heading into the final 10 minutes of play. Carter Waddell here with you. Blue Jays trying to move above 500. This is the SLIAC opener for both of these teams. And nobody wants to start 0-1 in conference play. Webster trying to penetrate, but trying to feed Bailey. Active hands from Adams, and she steals it away for Westminster, giving the Gorlocks a taste of their own medicine. And the lack of field goal shooting for the Blue Jays is so important because it prevents them from setting up their defense. You know, when Webster's able to get a made basket, they can set their pressure up. Blue Jays can't do that if they don't hit shots. Adams fires a three, can't get the roll. Blue Jays have not been able to hit from downtown so far, but an offensive board from Johnson gets it back to Adams. Give the Webster defense credit for quieting Johnson down. She had a terrific first half, 12 points and 8 rebounds, but in the second half has just had 2 in terms of scoring, and a foul is called on Bailey as Ray draws the foul on the drive for Westminster. You got to imagine that's the sort of play that James Arnold would like to see more of, getting into the lane and drawing fouls. James Arnold told me yesterday he doesn't want to just win points in the paint. That won't be enough for them. They have to dominate. They have to show that they're the better team on the interior. And in the third quarter, that wasn't the case. They feed Johnson on the entry pass, and she's fouled going up. And that's exactly what James Arnold is looking for, right on cue there. As though Johnson was not able to connect under the basket, she'll go to the line for a pair, with a chance to give the Blue Jays the lead once again. Johnson on the game, 14 points with 11 rebounds. Already a double-double for her. And 6 of those rebounds have come on the offensive glass as she ties the score with the first free throw. Johnson's second foul shot off the mark. So we are even, 47 apiece with 8:45 left in the game. Or should I say regulation. They swing it around the perimeter. Calling for it is Bailey, but she won't get it from Busher. 20 to shoot for the Gorlocks. Bailey now gets it at the foul line. Picks her dribble up, gives it to Busher. Busher tries to penetrate and is fouled. Looks like Adams is going to be charged with the foul. No, they're going to get Callahan for that. Both of those players were giving the referee a look. It is going to be a shooting foul. So 2 free throws on the way for Busher. Busher is 3 for 3 at the line so far tonight. The junior, Illinois native. And she swishes the second. So it's a 49-47 advantage for the Gorlocks here. 8:25 left in the fourth. Callahan continues to push it up floor. Gets it to Archambault, now to Miracle Johnson. And they swing it over to Ray. That's good interior defense from Webster. Preventing an opportunity for the Blue Jays to get a shot off in the paint. 8 to shoot now for Blue Jays. Callahan shoots a contested three-pointer, and it got deflected there. And a foul is called underneath the basket. It's going to go against Webster. And so that is already, I believe that's the 4th team foul. No, it's number 3 on Webster. So they've got one more to give with 8 minutes left in the fourth. That could be important to see if free throws become a factor down the stretch in this game. And Adams goes up, not fouled, regains the basketball, kicks it out to Ray, now swings it to Callahan. Now to Ray again, or excuse me, to Adams, who takes some contact, can't get the layup to go. Johnson rebounds, gets her own miss, pushes it up again, and is fouled over the back, trying to get the rebound. Jordan Olofsson doesn't like the call, saying his player had 2 hands up on the play, but it isn't over the back, and that is the 4th team foul on Webster. So that means for the rest of this game, the Blue Jays are shooting 2 free throws on every foul. Adams shoots a long 2, too strong. And this time, the Gorlocks are able to pull down the rebound as Taylor Lucas restores order underneath. Sawyer brings it up floor. Now to Taylor Lucas. Gets to Busher. Taylor Lucas, of course, went down with that injury. It's good to see her back on the floor. 3-point try from Morgan is too strong, and it's rebounded by Adams. But a play underneath, and Archambault comes away with it. Kelsey Miller, who has had a gutsy game so far for the Gorlocks, forcing that contact. On the other end, Johnson goes up strong, gets her own rebound, and lays it in. If at first you don't succeed, MJ Johnson ties the game with a lay-in, makes it 49-49. And a timeout on the floor here with the score tied, and 7 minutes and 2 seconds left in the quarter. 30-second timeout called by the Jays. Tied at 49, fourth quarter, 7:02 left. This is Westminster College basketball on the Blue Jays Sports Network. Welcome back to Fulton, where there are just about 7 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter, and the game is all tied up at 49. Blue Jays and Gorlocks, 2 teams that know each other well. We'll have a men's game coming up after this. Tip time scheduled for just after this one concludes, and the book is 8 o'clock. Might be a tad later than that. The same 2 teams going at it, and those 2 teams know each other very well. Should be an excellent game. It's going up strong on the play was Taylor Lucas, and she couldn't get it. And the Blue Jays get the defensive board, which has been important for them in this game. Both sides could probably be doing a little bit better on the defensive glass. 7 offensive boards for the Gorlocks and 20 for the Blue Jays. Blue Jays out rebounding Webster 47-20 in this game as Callahan can't connect inside. And a stoppage. Now the officials blew the whistle. Maybe a wet spot on the floor, perhaps? Or a clock issue? In any case, 6 minutes left. But the clock is not moving. Now it has started. That probably was what they were looking at. Tied at 49. Clock is moving. There is 15 to shoot for the Gorlocks. Nice feed inside to Taylor Lucas, and she lays it in. Gets the roll. Nice shot by Kelsey Miller to find her. Been really impressed with Kelsey Miller so far in this game. She was a big reason why the Gorlocks were able to go on that 12-0 run in the third quarter. Hasn't been lighting up the stat sheet necessarily, but she's been first to the 50-50 balls and has been an aggressive player on both ends of the floor for the Gorlocks, keeping them in this game. And a bit of a loose ball there, but Callahan regains it for the Jays. Now to Archambault. Archambault able to keep the ball in their hands. 3 seconds to shoot. Callahan tries to find Johnson, but it's a shot clock violation. It won't be a shot clock violation because it was stolen away by Miller. And up the other way go the Webster Gorlocks. Closing in on 5 minutes left in regulation. This game has gotten ugly in terms of a basketball perspective. The Blue Jays, who were shooting 55% from the floor at halftime, are now shooting 37% from the game, and a bucket and a foul from Allie Lucas, who makes her voice heard. Foul goes against Archambault. It'll be excuse me, they did not count the bucket. They're going to rule that. Okay. So it's 2 foul shots coming up. Makes the first. Score 52-49 Webster here. 4:55 left, fourth quarter. Second foul shot is good from Allie Lucas. So the lead is 4 for the Gorlocks, as large as it has been in this second half. And as the Blue Jays get it up floor, another stoppage in play, as again it looks like it's a clock issue. And this is an important thing for the Blue Jays because they're trying to break a defensive pressure, and when they can get a side out, especially now after they've already brought it across the midcourt line, makes that much more difficult for the Jays because now that midcourt line is an extra defender if they do inbound it to the left side of the line. And if they throw it in the backcourt, you got your issues there too. Pick your poison. So we are ready to get it back underway. Peyton Beeler inbounds it to Kelsey Ray. Blue Jays need a bucket, trailing by 4. Adams drives, draws contact, no whistle. They get it to Johnson, and Johnson lays it in. And a timeout is called by the Blue Jays as Johnson hits the bucket to cut the lead in half, 53-51. It's a 30-second timeout by the Blue Jays. It looks like James Arnold was surprised he didn't see a foul call there, although that was one of the things that he as a coach had to adjust to. Of course, Arnold, in his first season with the Blue Jays as head coach, in his first season at Division III, and he said that the physicality that he's seen in Division III, it's more physical than any division he's ever been with, including Division I. Said that the officials really let his players play and that he needed to make an adjustment in practice after his first few games as a head coach. Said that he needs to make more physical practice to tell his players to endure more contact and go up strong, just as Johnson did right there to cut this deficit in half. So the Blue Jay defense is back out on the floor. On the floor for Westminster, The guards are Ray, and Beeler is out there. Archambault, Williams, and Adams are the forwards, with Adams playing that small forward wing role. And for Webster, it's both of the Lucases, Sawyer, Miller, and Shute is on the floor. She's checked in. 4.5 to play, fourth quarter. Gorlocks nursing a 2-point lead. Tabor Lucas farther away from the basket than she's used to, but she pulls up a jump shot, and it's too strong. Rebound Adams. That's the kind of tough two that the Jays would like to force. They get an outlet pass. A Miracle Johnson layup is good. A terrific find on the opposite end from Adams, and Johnson finishes it off, but now an outlet pass from the Gorlocks, and Allie Lucas completes the play. A Lucas to Lucas connection. Taylor to Allie, and a couple big outlet passes in succession, and the lead is right at 2 points once again. 55-53 Gorlock. This has been an entertaining game when these teams have had room to run offensively. A steal from Sawyer. She just took it right out of Adams' hands. Sawyer goes all the way, gets the bucket and a foul. And the Gorlock bench goes nuts. Sawyer, another player that's been giving her all tonight, and this is the point in the game with the lead now 4 points for the Gorlocks. We're playing an end-to-end, fight for every inch, 94 feet game. Becomes a fatigue factor, especially early in the season. And there Adams, who's breathing hard, hands on her hips, had her ball stripped right up the top of the key. They were able to turn it into a bucket and a foul on the other end. And Sawyer converts a three-point play. It's a 5-point lead, new largest lead of the game for Webster. Ray still with the ball in her hands. Look at this defense by Sawyer. Now Beeler to Callahan. And now into the hands of Adams. Somebody's going to have to step up here for Westminster. Adams making a drive. Takes it all the way to the hoop herself. What a move! And Adams, who is limping, will get to the opposite end of the floor after gutting out a basket. Cuts the deficit to 3. Adams is wincing on the opposite end, but she is fighting through every minute of this game. What a performer she is. Now to Miller for the Gorlocks. Nine to shoot for Sawyer. Sawyer driving. A lot of white shirts in the area. Has to pick up her dribble. Feeds Tabor Lucas, and Lucas lays it in. Gives Sawyer the assist, and Tabor Lucas, who is finally finding her stroke underneath with those layups. She has been persistent all game long. And Ray brings it up floor, but a good job getting back by the Gorlocks. 2.5 minutes left, fourth quarter. Callahan shoots a 3, no good. Gets her own rebound following her shot and lays it in. A terrific play from Callahan. Another timeout is called by the Jays. A full timeout. I do believe that's the last one for the Blue Jays with 2:29 left in the fourth quarter of play. 60-57, the Gorlocks lead. This is Westminster Blue Jay basketball on the Blue Jays Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. We got a good one. We welcome you back to a historic gym in Fulton, Missouri, where the Westminster Blue Jays, who were up 10 at the halftime break, trail by 3 with 2:29 left in the fourth quarter. 60-57 is the score in full in favor of the Webster Gorlocks. To reset the situation right now, Blue Jays have the arrow. Blue Jays have one foul to give. The Webster Gorlocks do not. Blue Jays are in the bonus, so if Webster commits a foul, it's free throws for the Jays. And it is going to be the Gorlocks to rebound. And a conversation at the scorer's table before we get back underway. But an important defensive possession here for the Jays coming out of the timeout. Howard is in at point guard. Adams who was limping on that previous play, has checked out of the game for the Jays. Backing up on Johnson is Albie Lucas. Nice turnaround move, but can't get a layup, and Johnson pulls down a crucial defensive rebound for the Blue Jays. Westminster bringing it up. Ray tries to split her defenders and does. Gets it to Howard. And Howard will elect to reset the offense. 20 to shoot. Closing in on 2 minutes left in regulation. Blue Jays trailing by 3. Callahan has it. Now it's Peyton Beeler to Callahan with 6 to shoot. Driving inside. Nice feed to Johnson. Gets the bucket and 1. And Miracle Johnson will go to the line with a chance to tie the game. I haven't seen a lot of three-pointers from either side. In fact, only one in this entire game. These two teams are a combined 1 of 25 from long range, but three-point plays have been key in this second half. And James Arnold has a smile on his face after Miracle Johnson gets the and one opportunity. Johnson ties the game up. And here come the Gorlocks coming the other way. Johnson now has 23 points to lead all scorers in this game. They swing it over to shoot to the Gorlocks. They get it inside. Drawing a double team is Lucas. She finds her sister Taylor, but Taylor is too strong of a layup, and Johnson pulls down the rebound. Stolen away from Taylor Lucas, and she lays it in for 2. Taylor Lucas with an athletic play. Timeout Gorlocks, a full timeout. 62 to 60 Webster, a minute 23 left in the fourth quarter. Things are getting heated here between the Blue Jays and the Gorlocks. But boy, you can't say enough about what Miracle Johnson has done. They hadn't updated the stats. She's got 24 with that foul shot and 17 rebounds. Both of those are game highs, but the biggest for her, 10 offensive boards. The next closest player is Kelsey Ray, who's got 5 of those. So she's got twice as many as anybody else on the floor. The Blue Jays have been dominating the glass in this game. As a whole, they're out-rebounding Webster 52 to 21, but the turnovers and the forcing of the turnovers has been what has kept the Gorlocks in this basketball game so far. Westminster with 28 turnovers in this game compared to 14 against Webster, twice as many. And 22 of those 28 turnovers for the Jays have been steals. So we're ready to get back underway. Webster will put Kylie Shute back into the game at the guard spot. She's joined there by Sawyer, both Lucas sisters, and Miller. As for the Jays taking the court, it's Callahan, Beeler, Ray, Adams, who is back in, and Miracle Johnson. Adams has been hurting ever since she went down with what looks to be a leg injury, but has been playing through it in this game. Blue Jays trailing by 2. Minute 15 left in the fourth quarter of play. And Ray will set up the offense for the Blue Jays with 20 to shoot. Ray finds Adams. Adams looking to drive left hand, gets into the lane, finds Johnson. Johnson lays it up and in, and it's not going to count. It's an offensive foul. They're getting Adams for an offensive foul. Terrific job to draw the charge by Webster. Exactly 1 minute left in this fourth quarter, and the Gorlocks have the ball up by 2. You have to think this is a must-stop for James Arnold's team. If they don't, we'll have to start fouling. And James Arnold gives a high five to Adams on the bench. He disagreed with the call and liked the effort that he saw from his player. So Webster goes the other way. Taylor Lucas at the top of the key finds Sawyer. Now an entry pass to Albie Lucas up against Johnson. Lucas muscles her way in. It's short. What a rebound from Johnson. And a timeout called by the Blue Jays. It's a full timeout for the Jays with 41.1 left, fourth quarter. And I was going to try and get the timeout total, but it looks like the scorer's table is unsure of that as well. So not sure exactly how many timeouts are left for each team. But 41.1 left in the fourth quarter. It's a 2-point lead for the Jays. And what a rebound for Miracle Johnson on that last possession, just reaching over and grabbing it. Nice job to go over the top without committing a foul. And there is a confusion here among our officiating crew at the scorer's table as to how many timeouts are left for each side. And I think what they're signaling is the Jays don't have any, and Webster has one. To reset the rest of that, Blue Jays have the possession arrow. Jays are in the bonus, and both teams are now in the bonus. 5 team fouls for Webster and 4 for the Jays. The very next one will trigger that 2-shot appearance at the line. So no fouls to give for either side. Jays have the arrow. No timeouts left for Westminster. 1 left for the Gorlocks. 41.1 left in the fourth quarter of this game. Blue Jays down 62-60. They get it to Johnson, and now Ray will set the offense up. There's a 10-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock. 30 seconds left, fourth quarter. Ray to Beeler, open three-pointer, it's short. Johnson with the offensive board. Shot clock is turned off. Johnson driving, can't get the layup, gets her own rebound, goes up and is fouled. She will shoot 2. .3 left in the fourth quarter now, and Miracle Johnson has a chance to tie this game up. Johnson is 6 out of 7 from the line tonight. 24 points for her. What a game for the junior from Memphis. She hits the first. This for the tie. Short and rebounded by Webster, and it's a timeout quickly called by the Gorlocks. So that, I do believe, is their last one, as they look to clean up a wet spot on the floor while they have a second. Should be a 30-second timeout for Webster. 20.9 to go. Webster gets the timeout, and now the Blue Jays, with trailing by 1 point, 21 seconds left. You have to think in this situation, you at least would want to try and get a trap, get a steal. You have the possession arrow. We've seen quite a few tie-ups in this game. So if the Blue Jays are able to force a tie-up, they get the basketball back. But after a couple of efforts, they want to go and try and force a foul. Send the Gorlocks to the line, and we'll see who they send out to the free throw, or to the court, excuse me, to the Gorlocks, to see what those free throw shooters look like and who the Jays might target. There still is a bit of confusion about how many timeouts are left, but to reset the game, there are 21 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Webster 62, Blue Jays 61. The winner starts 1-0 in SLIAC play, and the loser starts 0-1. Jays trying to go above 500 and complete a tough stretch of games. So Webster will get to advance the ball up, and it's inbounded by Ali Lucas, and a quick foul applied to Sawyer. So Sawyer will go to the line for 2, with the Blue Jays in the bonus. Sawyer so far tonight is 3 of 3 from the line. Entered this game at 4 out of 5. So now in the season is 7 out of 8. And she hits the first. No matter what, it's going to be a one-possession game when the Jays get the basketball back. That free throw makes it 63-61 in favor of Webster, and Adams is going to come back into this game. A little offense-defense as Adams enters the game. And they also sub in Avery Engel, putting a shooter into this game. Important to note that the Blue Jays have made 1 out of 18 three-point baskets in this game. You only see 1 three-pointer go down all night. And the second one is too strong. It heads out of bounds. It's Webster ball. A turnover. Looked like it hit the foot of a Blue Jay player. 17.7 left fourth quarter. Webster will inbound up by 2, and Arnold is telling his team to foul. Inbound coming for Webster, and Adams will give the foul to Taylor Lucas. for Adams, that is her third. Archambault not on the floor for big free throws here for Taylor Lucas. She trains the first. Archambault, as I mentioned, on the floor for Westminster. She's got 5. She's done for the game. No one else really in foul trouble for this game, although Ebony Bailey has 4, one of the bench players for Webster. So the free throws drop. It's a 4-point lead for Webster. They get it to Callahan. Callahan to Adams. Adams driving, goes up and lays it in. 7 seconds left. Webster up 2 and will inbound. And before the inbounds pass, a timeout is called by the Gorloks. And they're going to try, and they're asking if they want to advance it. And they'll say yes. So 7 seconds exactly left. It's a 30-second timeout by Webster. And for James Arnold, you're hoping to get a foul here, and then you're hoping that they miss at least one free throw. Then after that, they've got plenty of time to go to the opposite end. The Blue Jays trying to get another win here at home. After this game, they hit the road. Part of a 5-game road trip after this. Next home game is not till January 3rd, so they'd love to ice it here. They inbound the ball, and foul. Drawing the foul there is Taylor Lucas. Let's see who they get for this. If it's Adams, it's her 4th, and it is. So Adams now has 4 fouls for the Blue Jays. And Taylor Lucas will head to the line. 2 big free throws here with her team up 65-63. 4.9 left, 4th quarter. And it will be a 1-possession game when the Blue Jays get the ball back. Avery Engel, who's a good shooter, is back with Ali Lucas all the way over at the 3-point line on the opposite end of the floor. And it is a 3-point game. 5 seconds left. They inbound it to Ray. No timeouts for Westminster. They set up Callahan. Callahan for the tie. Gets it at the buzzer! And we are going to overtime here in Fulton. Just the second 3-pointer that either team has hit all night. And it's 66-66 at the end of 4 quarters of play. Wow. For Callahan, who's been trying to get that 3-pointer going, she's 9 of 29 coming into the game from 3. One of the primary shooters that this team counts on, but was 0 of 6 before taking that shot from long distance. But that's the one that matters the most. We are headed for 5 extra minutes here in Fulton. And we'll have a tip-off at midcourt. And this is a difficult situation. I mean, this has been a game that surely has taken a lot out of both of these teams. A game that's been end-to-end, a lot of hard-nosed defense. A couple of players, one on each team, fighting through injuries in this game. And now they'll be asked to get 5 more minutes in. As you always look when you go to overtime, foul trouble becomes a lot more important. As we know, Archambault is out for the Blue Jays. She's got 5. Kendall Adams, one of their primary playmakers who appears to be battling through an injury but will take the floor here. She has 4 fouls. Janae Williams has 3 for the Blue Jays. As for Webster, the only concern is Ebony Bailey, who's got 4 fouls off the bench. Everybody else has 2 or fewer. That's the foul situation. We're ready for overtime here in Fulton. A dramatic ending to this game, and there's still plenty more to be written. Abby Lucas controls the tip for Webster. Lucas driving right hand. Nice dish inside to Miller, but she can't get it to go. Tries to get her offensive rebound. Did she get it? She did. It's a tie-up. If the possession arrow favors Westminster, but another good hustle play from Miller. That was a 1-on-4 fighting for that rebound, and she was able to win it and force the tie-up. But the Blue Jays will inbound. Gives a chance for the pressure to be set up for Webster, but this time they break it pretty easily as Ray brings it up floor. 30 seconds into the overtime period. Tied at 66. Ray has played a good chunk of minutes at the point guard position so far in this game for Westminster. 34 minutes in this game. They find Adams driving left side, can't get the bounce. Rebound Johnson, she puts it up and gets her own rebound, and now it's foul going up once more. No, it's not going to be going up. It's a foul on the floor. But that's not going to matter because they're in the bonus regardless. It's going to be 2 free throws coming up for Miracle Johnson. What a game she's had. 4 minutes, 11 seconds remaining in overtime. Johnson trying to give the Blue Jays the lead. And she hits it. For Westminster, as the second one is good. First time that Westminster has gotten the lead back in some time here. And it's stolen away by the Blue Jays. Can they push it the other way? Nice find to Adams. Adams loses the handle. Johnson picks it up. Johnson gets the bucket and one. Back to the line goes Miracle Johnson. It's 70-66. And Miracle Johnson is now up to 27 for the game. Or, 29, counting the basket. Trying to make it an even 30, and she can't get the bounce. But Beeler tries to get the offensive board, and Sawyer tracks it down for Webster. Gorlocks bring it up floor. 3:45 left in overtime. 70-66 Blue Jays, who so far have outscored the Gorlocks 4-0 in the overtime period. A three-point try from Allie Lucas is no good. Still have yet to see a three-pointer go in for Webster. Now an outlet pass to Johnson. Johnson lays it in. She's got 31. It's a 6-point advantage for the Blue Jays. 3:15 left in overtime. Dish inside to Taylor Lucas. Terrific entry pass there from Miller to find Taylor Lucas for the first points of the overtime for Webster. So it's a 4-point lead for the home team. Ray driving, finds Johnson. Johnson lays it in. You got to give Johnson credit for converting, but you also have to credit the guard play from Ray, from Adams, from the other players for Westminster that have been able to find her this entire game. The pick and roll has been so effective. Now they dish it inside to the Gorlocks, trying to find Allie Lucas, and she goes up strong. Terrific play for her as the teams trade buckets. Back to a 4-point lead for the Blue Jays. Inside of 2.5 left in overtime. Callahan, who with the buzzer beating 3 to tie it, sets up a 3-point try. It's no good. They're from Beeler. And now Miller tries to go coast to coast, gets to the layup, and gets it to go. Terrific job from Miller to shake off her defender and lay it in. 2 minutes left, and it's a 2-point game. Blue Jays still on top, 74-72. Every player on the floor right now, you can tell, is giving 100% in this game. Been a long one to fight through for everybody on the court. Another try from Beeler for 3. This one too strong, and Johnson fights for it, and she knocks it out of bounds. Webster will have it, and a host of subs will come into the game. 4 subs coming in. As Busher checks in, Brandt enters the game. Bailey, who has 4 fouls, comes in for Webster. And it looks like Morgan has entered the game as well. That's the 4th player who's in. Williams will replace Johnson for the Blue Jays. Every coach is trying to give their players a bit of a breather here, heading into the final 90 seconds of overtime. 74-72 Jays. Bailey has the ball in her hands and traveled with it. Had to pick up her dribble as Howard was defending her and just took a couple of steps, and quickly Johnson's back in on an offense-defense substitution. Howard leaves and makes way for Ray as well, as James Arnold just trying to give his players every inch of rest that they can get. But the turnover means it's Blue Jay basketball. Minute 28 left in overtime. Now to Beeler. And Ray has it. 20 to shoot for the Jays. Ray up against Bailey. Now to Adams. Adams tries to find Johnson. What a job by Johnson to collect that pass. They swing it to Callahan. Three-pointer. Hits it! Michaela Callahan with a three ball to give Westminster a 5-point lead, and the Blue Jays call timeout. This is a full timeout from the Jays. Michaela Callahan, the sophomore from Lebanon, Missouri, with two huge three-pointers in this game, and the Blue Jays lead 77-72 with 1:04 left in overtime. Back after this. This is Westminster College basketball on the Blue Jays Sports Network. We welcome you back to Fulton. Westminster leading Webster 77-72. Minute 4 left in overtime. Carter Waddell here with you. If you're just joining us, Michaela Callahan was the hero for the Blue Jays in regulation. Hit a three-pointer at the buzzer to tie the game and send it to OT. And Webster now trailing by 5. Miller does her best to get into the paint and swings it over a three-point try way off the mark. And the rebound pulled down by the Blue Jays. As Morgan missing that. Now to Adams with 40 seconds left in OT. We'll see if Webster decides to foul or play defense here. And they are hounding him pretty aggressively now. Hounding. And is this going to be a tie-up? It is, and the possession arrow favors Webster. So Webster is able to get the ball back without fouling after forcing the tie-up as Kelsey Ray was not able to wrestle the basketball away. So Webster has it trailing 77-72. Last 30 seconds of OT. Sawyer has to make something happen here for the Gorlocks. Miller driving up to the lane. And it wedges in between the backboard and the rim. That's a jump ball. It means it's Westminster ball on the possession arrow. Has some assistance here from member of the men's team coming in to dislodge the basketball. 19 seconds left in OT. Gorlocks looking for a steal or a quick foul. And they get the latter as Ray will go to the line. Foul is charged to Sawyer. So Ray will go to the line for a pair. 17 seconds left. Looking to make this game almost out of reach, but she's short on the first. Kelsey Merrick has checked in. One of the reserve forwards for Westminster as Johnson takes a seat. Derek, the freshman from Salisbury, Missouri. Ray goes 0 for 2 at the line, so it's still a 5-point lead for the Jays as Webster brings it up floor. Miller tries to go straight to the hoop. Short on the first attempt. On the second one, she's long, and Adams pulls down the rebound for the Blue Jays. Wrestles off a couple of defenders, still pushing it up floor. 5 seconds left in the game. Adams gets it to Callahan, and the final buzzer sounds, and the Blue Jays got out a win in overtime. Westminster gets the W. They are now 1-0 in SLIAC play, getting the win in their conference opener. The Blue Jays take it by a final score of 77-72. What a basketball game this was. Michaela Callahan with the buzzer-beating three-pointer to send the game to overtime. and a terrific performance from Miracle Johnson. A career night for her. 33 points, 22 rebounds, 14 of them on the offensive glass. Had a steal for good measure as well. Kendall Adams had an excellent game as well for the Blue Jays, playing through what appeared to be some sort of injury. She fell down and after getting an M1 opportunity earlier in the game, but was fighting through it for the entire rest of that game. She finishes with a 20-10 performance on the game. That is a victory for Westminster. For the Gorlocks, Taylor Lucas was their leading scorer. She had 25 points, and Ali Lucas had 19. Those two paving the way. Well, as you can see, the men's teams are getting warmed up, and we'll have the men's game coming up in just a short while between these two same teams, the Gorlocks and the Blue Jays, coming up in just a little bit. For now, we'll say so long from Fulton. Thank you so much for tuning in to Westminster College basketball. For our entire crew here, including Peyton Hall, manning the camera, SID Kirsten Carney, and everybody else here at Westminster College. We'll see you in a bit for the men's game coming up. This is Westminster College basketball on the Blue Jays Sports Network.